Hey friends, it is Vanessa and we are back talking more current events and taking that and stretching it a little bit of like what we can learn as a learning industry. So how can we talk current events without me talking about AI? We knew this one was coming. And so there's kind of two things that I want to touch on when it comes to AI and like the opportunity we truly have in front of us, and also an interesting take. So this morning, so I'm recording this April 30th. Let me talk about this morning. Okay. I saw a post on LinkedIn, an article shared by a colleague about OpenAI rolling back one of their versions because it rolled it out, I think, like over the weekend, and it was too agreeable. It was so agreeable that people were actually like making memes and stuff about it, which is pretty interesting. And so as I was reading the article, I was thinking like, that's an interesting lesson. Right now in Kirkpatrick land, I'm getting a lot of calls from folks wanting us to audit their programs and things like that. And I think that's great. I think we need external auditors and evaluators. Recognize that's the business that I'm in, but I do believe, I don't think that you need us all the time, but I do think that you need us for like the really important stuff and when you're setting things up. New departments, new processes, and like as a check, right? You can maintain like, also I recognize I live in Florida, so you guys don't do this, but like in New Jersey, when you buy a car, you have to go and have it inspected every few years. I think it's like 3 years. And great, like you can go and you can maintain it yourself, but the DMV is like, we really need to just make sure that this car passes inspection so that it's safe and operates at maybe not peak, but passable performance to ensure that it's safe to be out on the roads, or else it's going to cause some major issues later. That's the same kind of thing when I think about external auditors and like, bringing Kirkpatrick in, right? It's like, you don't need us all the time. I'd love to be with you all the time. I'm not lying. I do love diving in and being part of organizations, but you need us to like help you get set up and make and like certify that things are good. And then, we'll check on you like every 3 years. That is actually a service that we offer if you want to talk more about that. Okay. Since it's not a sales podcast. So it was found that the AI was so agreeable. And then I was like, how many people really want to know if their work is working? And I got some insider insight recently that said they don't want to evaluate, because I brought up evaluation to a lot of folks in positions of power, because they don't want to know, and they don't want to be discovered that things aren't working. Like they know that they're not. They don't want to be discovered. And it brings me to this idea of like, like the AI being too agreeable, right? Like that's a problem. If AI is going to say every single decision that you made was good, even if they are like nefarious, that's a problem. And we need to hold ourselves and our tools accountable to not always be agreeable and truly show us opportunities for improvements and where things are not working. We have this fear of evaluation that needs to be addressed in our industry. In the book I wrote, we'll talk a little bit about some of the reasons why people don't evaluate. And fear of feedback is one of them. So we often will talk about, like, well, why don't you evaluate? Not enough time, not enough resources. There's not, excuse me, a true like need or a request for it, right? The one that seldomly shows up, but it does show up and it actually speaks volumes when it does, is when we hear, I'm fearful of what I'm going to find because I'm afraid for my job. I was actually looking at some work by Ken Phillips recently, and he found the same thing. Rest in peace. God bless your soul, Ken. He found the same thing. People didn't want to do evaluation because they were afraid of being found out. But then what happens? We repeat the same mistake over and over and over again. And I know this is not all of us. And so like, I'm even sitting here thinking like, how interesting is it to think that I, as a learning professional, like a specialist, right, have a learning and development manager who I would love to evaluate, but they're not giving me any sort of, I don't want to say pressure, but direction to do so. And then it's like, well, maybe because they know that things aren't working and they're afraid for their job. And then there's some requests that have come in that I'm like, I wonder, do you just want me to agree with you? Do you want me to say, like, do you want me just to find out the nice things and the good things and not share the opportunities for improvement, or to tell you the truth that things are not actually working well or not actually aligned? See, like, I'm not the version of AI that is agreeable to everything. I'm the version of AI that's going to be balanced, to say, here are the great things, repeat that. Here are the opportunities to improve, fix that. And here's your low-hanging fruit that maybe if you just like tweak a little bit, will, be better. So we don't want AI to be agreeable because we need that balance, and we need to have some help with like our work and our ideas to make sure that what we're putting out there is great. Then we need to do the same with our evaluation. We need to actually do evaluation. It can't just all be agreeable. It cannot all be, we're doing everything great because our level 1 Smiley sheet says 95% of people loved the program. They all passed with an 80 or above. Some maybe more tries than others. That cannot be your measure. That's just being agreeable. Like, the way that we've been doing learning is literally this bad version of OpenAI that just got rolled back. Yeah, we do our level 1 Smiley sheets and we do our level 2 assessments. Why? Because the scores look good. We don't do level 3 because we know what we're going to find, that it might not even align. It might not be what we need. So I challenge you to be open-minded and have an open heart when it comes to evaluation and finding out the truth. I won't lie, it's scary. Like, I get nervous every single time I open up SurveyMonkey or sometimes my email. Excuse me. Sometimes my email after I send an email out to be like, oh, what's the response going to be? I get it. I have a fear of feedback too. I get nervous. But we don't improve and iterate if we only operate where we're not taking in constructive feedback. I'm going to say that again. We don't improve and iterate if we do not take in constructive and productive feedback. Some feedback, honestly, unproductive, unhelpful. Thank you so much. Goodbye. I don't even pay attention to that. But the productive feedback, I'm like, okay, I can see maybe where I made a misstep in a decision that I made, or I didn't think that through, or, you're right, that might be better. Okay, fair. I'm not doing a great job. Fair. Appreciate your insights. But when we operate from a place of, I don't really want to evaluate because I don't actually want to know because I'm afraid, you never get to being a business partner. You don't. You never achieve transformation. You never achieve innovation because you're operating in a vacuum in your own little bubble where things are really tight and protective. We cannot do that any longer. With the way learning is changing, you'll be out of a job anyway. And I say that respectfully. Whether or not you evaluate at some point or another, I'm going to say the gig is up, the gig is up. We all get found out. But if you're doing the evaluation work, you're being proactive and able to adjust, to course correct. But if you're not course correcting and you're doing the same thing over and over and over again with no results, eventually you just go. Whether it is during an economic downturn, during change in leadership, just because it's Tuesday, eventually these things happen. Sometimes it takes longer than other times. But when they look at ways, they start to ask themselves like, oh, what are we even getting for what value is that work bringing us? 90% satisfaction rate. It's not enough. Because CEOs know satisfaction rates mean nothing. Surveys mean nothing. It's behavior, performance, and what are the results? What's the impact? That is what matters. So that's the first bit of the AI. So I took a little bit of like a dark turn. So let's go positive for a minute, y'all. I'm really excited about AI. Not gonna lie. I think we are the closest we've ever been to behavior change. And being able to like really measure it. So there's tools out there that are able to help with now coaching, where you get a virtual coach through AI to be able to have conversations back and forth, helping to alleviate some of these coaches that you have that maybe you have to, they have to add it as part of their duties. So like they don't have a ton of time to devote to it. You might not have a great pool of coaches to pick from. Or like timing doesn't work out between the coach and the coachee. Like that to me is like, gonna be great. When we talk about measurement at level 3, one of the things we talk a lot about is observation. And like the reason a lot of people don't do observation is because they don't have the means or the time to dedicate to have someone be the observer, or they don't have the rubric developed to have that objective, systematic review of folks' on the job behavior and their performance. Well, now you can create a rubric with just using ChatGPT, at least the start of it. And with observation, there are actually tools out there where you can upload a recording of someone, or you could record someone and then use the AI to help identify different things that they're doing well, if they're not doing well. And then I can go in as the, coach or the observer, the manager, and just go to the points in the film that are identified for me. So instead of watching an hour of game tape, I'm watching maybe 15 minutes because I can go directly to the parts that they're doing well and review. I can go to the parts where the AI is telling me there's some concern here and provide feedback. I mean, this is going to be next level. Part of the reason that level 1 and 2 took off is because there was technology to do it for us and make the results easy to measure. When it's easy, it gets done. When it's hard, it doesn't. Level 1 and 2 are easy because there's tools to help us. Level 3 and 4 are harder because there's not really tools to help us streamline that yet. So I'm excited. I think that we've got a really great opportunity in the future to do more level 3, provide more support on the job, whether it's through augmented reality, virtual reality. I even think of like augmented reality and like being on a shop floor and being able to pull up my phone and, point it at something and get more information about that part or that product or things like that. That helps people learn. It's something they need on the job, and AI is going to help us develop it faster. So, what tools are you using right now when it comes to AI? Are you dabbling in any of the coaching tools just yet? Or are you sticking close with the ChatGPT and automation side of things? And that's okay if you are. Also know that the level 3 behavior stuff and like coaching and role playing, that's a little bit more advanced. Just get comfortable with using the tool and using it ethically and responsibly. Like start there. And we've got the Evaluation AI Specialist certification that is now up and running. It is available, and make sure you go to the Kirkpatrick Partners website to learn more about the program. We're running it in July. And it's something that I collaborated with Meyer Roldan of Undesto AI to make sure that I had the best of the best when it came to understanding AI and not just generative AI. And also really being intentional around the ethics with AI and the governance with AI, because I know how important that is to y'all. So we're here. We're listening to your feedback. You want to know more about AI. You want to know more advanced stuff when it comes to Kirkpatrick. And you want to talk more level 3. And that's where the Evaluation AI Specialist program can help you out. And also this podcast. So, y'all, I will catch you all on the next episode. Thank you so much for listening.